Hey family, just wanted to share some things with you from my heart and just what I'm feeling and what we're all feeling. Actually, unfortunately, I can't say all because we all don't feel the same way when it comes to racism. So I'll speak for myself and I'll tell you from now, if you have not been moved by the events these past couple weeks, then there's definitely something wrong with you. And unfriend me. I don't care what you have to do, but definitely I'm not connected to anyone at all with that mindset. And we talk about what's happened in the past couple weeks, the past couple days with George Floyd now. This has been happening forever. And I feel like it's important for me to have express my feelings and really not be so silent. I feel like I have been silent when it comes to issues like this and even other issues where I just feel like, oh, I don't want to say anything because, people pleaser and making sure I'm politically correct. And I'm tired of that. We have lived our entire lives as Black people. We have lived with this our entire life. It started from a young age and it happens even today. And I know it's not just about Black people, but that's what we're talking about right now. And, we see comments like it has to stop. We must do better. But what I've really appreciated in this time is actually my white friends and leadership who has reached out to me personally, to my husband, checking on us and asking, what can we do? What can we do to change this? Because we all have a voice, right? And if we just sit here and talk about it with no action, nothing is going to happen. And when I say we all have a voice, that is true, but we're also living in a day and age where, you as my white friend, as my white leader, your voice is actually much louder than mine right now. And so I appreciate when people do ask, like, what can we do? What can we say? Because your voice matters. I reflect back on my life where, your voice has mattered to me personally, whether it's in corporate America, at church, whatever circles I have. You as a white person, your voice has mattered and it's helped me get me where I am today. That same voice, we need that today to help us overcome racism. And, I was thinking like, man, what do I just, there's so many things, so much I want to say, so many stories that I can share with you. And I plan to, because it's time to talk about these stories. It's time to talk about these experiences. And as I go through and look at some of the comments, that have been made on social, like, this has happened to so many of us, or this is really, the hate is the minority, it's not the majority, and the 95% good, you fall into that category. Who cares? It happens and it's happening. I don't care what the percentage is of good people and good cops, and we can go down the list. Of course, there's a lot of good, but there's also the bad that has affected us greatly. It's affected my children, and I've been struggling with like, what is it that I want to share from my heart, and I feel it's targeted to the parents. It starts in your home. The white friends that have reached out to me that have said, we don't see color. It's never been an issue. I believe them. You know why it's never been an issue? Because their parents instilled in them at a young age, early age, that it's not okay to treat someone different that looks differently from you, right? It's not okay. And it starts in our homes. It really does. Are you having candid conversations with your children? Are you putting yourself in the shoes of someone else that doesn't look like you? And, you know, I shared a comment on Facebook earlier this week, and I stand by it. I stand by it wholeheartedly. I agree, all lives matter. We know that. We know that. But when you break it down, your life is so different from my life. And that's for all of us. But I'm talking from a racial standpoint. It's different. I guarantee you, when you get pulled over by the police, driving with your family, your husband is driving, you get pulled over by the police, your heart is racing, you're worried, am I going to get a ticket? Is he going to get me, you know, am I going to get a free pass? Insurance, points. I guarantee you, as a white person, that's what's going through your mind. When we get pulled over, our heart is racing for a different reason. As a black man driving our car, I immediately go through what's going to happen next. What's going to happen? Our fear is, are we going to lose our life? When we go into a retail store and we're shopping and feeling the eyes just looking at us and following us around, right? That's never happened to you. My life is different from your life. What about just being treated differently on the playground, being treated differently, even in corporate America now that I'm grown and have my career, because of the color of my skin? That's my life. That's not your life. And so, yes, all lives matter. We understand that. But make no mistake, it's a totally different path. And I think we need to learn to appreciate that. We need to learn to put yourself in our shoes, put yourself in, feel uncomfortable. Go spend some time where you're the minority. Go spend some time where you are the minority. Come back to me and talk to me about how you feel. That's been us our entire life. And then you add the violence with it now. There's no comparison. And we're not asking you guys, we're not asking you to just, okay, well, you know, what, you know, we're not asking you, we want you to feel it. And we know you will never feel it like we do, but appreciate, be sensitive right now. If you're going to focus more on the rioting instead of the racist crime, don't talk to me. If you're going to focus on that more than the racist crime that has been committed this week and all of the black men who've lost their lives, if you're going to focus on those riots, you and I have nothing to talk about at all. But if you're going to focus and ask, you know, what can I do personally? How can I help? What can I say? Then let's talk. And so I come to you today, to the parents, going back to this point. It starts in your home. It starts in your home. We can tell. My husband and I, we talk about this all the time. We know, we easily can tell when we interact with certain people who are not minorities, whether they were raised to really embrace all cultures. The way they talk, the way they address us, it comes out. And it's important that you start as young, you teach your young children. Maybe you weren't raised in that environment. Well, now you're grown. Educate yourself. You're grown now. Educate yourself. Realize your surroundings. It's not about your own little happy little world and go lucky world and privileged this and not, it's not, that's not what it is. Wake up. That is not what it is. And my husband and I, as you all know, I love to, you know, I post the pictures on Facebook. We travel. We love to travel. It's important. You know, a lot of people say, well, you just have you guys can do it. You can afford it. So can you. You can afford it too. Take your kids and immerse them in different cultures. Experience different foods. Experience different smells. Look at people who are different from you. Do that from when they're little children and teach them to respect the difference, because we all have something to bring to the table. And it starts in the home. I guarantee you tonight, as I'm recording this, that your conversations with your kids that you have at the dinner table are completely different from our conversations. I invite you to sit at our table. I invite you to hear when Moses talks about feeling left out, not as a typical like, oh, I'm feeling left out, I don't, you know, no friends. It's because of the color of his skin. It has happened to him. It's happened to him at his school, treated differently because of the color of his skin. And yes, Thaddeus and I are very hands-on, and we're our children's biggest advocates. Awesome school. I'm not even tearing down the school whatsoever. But we had to deal with that. We had to deal with the racism. Him and his friends, his black friends, black male friends being targeted. We had to deal with that. And we had our conversations, I can guarantee, are differently. What to do, Moses, if you are ever pulled over by a police? What do you guys, you're not having those kind of conversations. So I ask that you embrace the difference. Don't question why. Look at the root of the problem. We're all, if you're really trying to be a solution to the problem, look at the problem then. Focus on the problem. The problem is blatant racism. It still exists today. And so I'm challenging all of us, as we sit and think, what can we do? What can we say? Think of your minority friends, even family, and ask yourself, what can I do? I know I'll never experience exactly what they experience, what we experience, but what are you going to do personally? Educate yourself. What are you going to do? Educate yourself. Go somewhere that makes you feel uncomfortable. Try different foods that you would never think to eat outside of burgers and fries and whatever else is typical American food. Immerse yourself in another culture to truly appreciate the people who surround you. We don't all look the same. We don't all talk the same. We don't all walk the same. And there's a reason for that. God created all these different races for a reason. And so my heart is just, it's saddened. And I know we all have an opinion. People are going to put whatever they want on Facebook, but I have my opinion as well, which is why I'm here tonight. And I feel like my silence for all these years, sometimes it's twisted to think, oh, Akilah and the Morales, they feel this way too. Or you're not clear on where we stand. I'm telling you tonight, we stand with our brothers and sisters against racism. It's never okay. We're not going to laugh at the jokes that are little sly racist remarks. We're not doing that. We're not going to hush our children when they come to us and say, I feel like so-and-so is, we've done that too long, way too long. And so I'm letting you know, and I'm letting whoever else know, it stops. And I'm ready to share my stories. We have stories upon stories upon stories. I heard a comment or read a comment on Facebook, well, how many of you really have experienced discrimination? What? Really? That's your world? I mean, not everybody is like you. Not everyone lives in that kind of world. Yes, we have plenty of stories to share. And so my biggest thing is just be sensitive. Be sensitive. And think before you speak. And soak it in. Take time to soak it in. Watch the videos. You should be bothered. It should bother you. It should disturb you. It should move you to want things to change. It really should. And think about the conversations you're having with your children. Are you really promoting diversity? Or are you just so focused on living your privileged life that it doesn't bother you? Oh, that doesn't apply to us. So let's just kind of pretend like that didn't happen. So I hope you find it in your heart tonight, this weekend. Have difficult conversations. We have to have it all the time. We have to think about these things all the time. I don't care if you have to watch the George Floyd video 20 times in a row for it to get in your head that this is not okay. And then it affects you so much where you're just like, I want to be part of the change. I want to be part of the solution. Whatever it's going to take for you to get up, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your four walls, and be part of the solution. You have a voice. Be part of the solution. Raise your children to be part of the solution so that this is all they know. Just like my white friends who reach out to me and say, I don't see it. I don't see black, white. I don't see color. It started in the home. It started right in their home.